Check.
Check, check. 1, 2, 1, 2, 3.
Yes.
Does that sound good on your end?
It sounds great on my end.
Does it? Yeah, it sounds pretty good.
Pretty good over there?
Yeah.
Oh, cops. Coming to you live from southern Kentucky.
So the southernmost
On
tip
the
of
road.
Kentucky. Yes, we are on the road.
Roadcast.
Today is July 22nd, 2021. Welcome aboard. This is the Crushing Iron Podcast. We are episode 497 number 3, road show number 3 that we've ever done. We are, like Mike said, on the road to Ohio 70.3, which is what our podcast day will be about. But we just crossed over into the bluegrass state of Kentucky. We were on some nice, smooth asphalt roads. We figured, hey, what better time to hop on and record a podcast for you today if it's your first time. But we have a lot of listeners, a lot of athletes in Kentucky. We have the Waze app looking out for us, so we'll try to get this done today for you and out for you on a time. Again, if it's your first time tuning in, welcome. We appreciate you giving us your time. We know you have a lot of options in the triathlon podcast universe and just podcasts in general, so thanks for giving us a shot. We cover it all. We cover triathlon, we cover life, we cover everything in between. Sometimes we'll do swim, bike, run specific podcasts. We'll have on the occasional guest. We'll do race recaps, we'll do race previews like today. But for the most part, Mike and I, as athletes, coaches, and best friends, just kind of sit back, relax, have an open, honest discussion about what we're going through, what our athletes are going through. Oftentimes, we'll hop into our closed Facebook group. If you want to be a part of that, a conversation and awesome community, you can search on Facebook for Crushing Iron Group, and I'll answer one simple question. We'll let you right in. Really, there's a lot of awesome people in there, and the conversations continue to get more livelier and more frequent now that race season is upon us. And races are happening, and we're getting kind of like the meat of what I would consider like the North American calendar. So a lot of awesome people in there. So again, if you want to be a part of that, hop on in, ask any questions you might have, post as you will, and you'll get some awesome feedback. We've got everything from beginners, we've got athletes who have never even competed in a triathlon, and you have Ironman champions. So everyone in between. Again, it's a great community. Sometimes we'll go in there and ask for questions just to kind of take the vibe and the pulse of the community. We'll use that to drive the topic of the conversation. Sometimes we'll use our athletes, but yeah, Mike we're both coaches, we're both athletes. We're still trying to figure this thing out. We're not professionals, we're not experts. We are weathered, I think, as we've come to the extent we've weathered. We've done this a long time, and our goal for every podcast is to deliver a message, something that's consumable. You can take it and apply to your daily life, to your daily training and your racing. Hopefully change your perspective in a positive way. Don't copy and paste it. Make it your own. That's what Mike and I have done. We're still succeeding. We're still failing, just like the rest of us, and trying to figure this thing out and trying to find our way in triathlon. So if you can leave this podcast and find something positive, then we will consider it a massive success.
Yeah, just to give you guys an idea of what's going on, it's about 8:45 Eastern time. I was just getting a little sentimental because we just drove through Rocky Top.
We did go through Rocky Top.
I keep hearing about this Rocky Top, and I've never been through there.
We went through.
Chattanooga to Columbus, I guess. You go through Rocky Top, and you go through Lexington and Knoxville and all that. I've never been this route, and it's very
it's quite pretty.
Beautiful.
It's green. It's nice and green.
It's a little foggy.
It is a little foggy today.
But I guess that's how it is, It's like, what they call it? That's what they call the Smoky Mountains, right? That's the fog, right?
That's it.
That's why they call it
Smoky.
And is this the Smoky Mountains?
I have no idea. Listen, I'm just generally trying to drive a straight line and not get pulled over and produce a podcast all in one like fail swoop within an hour. So you don't ask any more of me than you're getting from me right now.
Yeah, we left at 6 a.m.
I need to make a statement. An affirmation and appreciation of you. I know that you are not an early morning guy at all, and I kind of cringed when I asked you to be ready at 6 a.m. this morning, and you said you had it, and I pulled up and said I was here. I grabbed my bike out of the hub, I grabbed my bike shoes and a couple other things. Hopefully I didn't forget anything, and you were ready right on time. And so I don't know how I feel about it, because you're becoming you're becoming predictable in a way that I'm not used to having you be predictable.
Hang on a second. I got something for you.
Okay.
Because
did you ever go to sleep?
I think you're. No, I did, but it was kind of late. I slept. I think I probably went about 12:30. But anyway, thank you for the praise. I would like to maybe not throw a little praise because I had to wait for 2 hours to get coffee on this drive.
Listen, dude.
And you're sitting here with a big cup of coffee driving along, and I'm just over here going, man, I didn't even hardly sleep.
It's called preparation. You have a coffee machine, right?
Okay, so we're going back to this. The thing you said to me that one day.
Yeah.
You probably just didn't start it earlier.
You probably didn't start it early enough.
You probably didn't prepare. I probably
Exactly.
should have had my coffee timer on.
Yes.
Yeah.
I had a cup at home. I did a few things and then took
my
another.
thought, yeah.
I honestly thought about this because you traditionally do this when I pick you up for road trips, and it's like I'm all about efficiency on road trips. When I'm ready to leave, as you know, I'm ready to go.
Yeah.
And my road trip rules are when we leave, we leave. We don't stop within the first 5 minutes. Like, we are ready to go. So I almost thought, you know what? Maybe I should make extra coffee this morning and come with an extra cup.
That would have been
because
sweet.
I had this feeling when I picked you up, you're going to say, "Hey, can we just get a roll over to Mean Mugs and grab something and grab a coffee?" And I'm thinking, well, and then why didn't I just pick you up at like 6:30? You could have made your own run. And
Which
I was
is
like,
a good
you
point.
walk into Mean Mugs, there's a line out the door, and then we're like, now we're looking at 7 o'clock. Then we're hitting rush hour traffic, and all I'm going to be doing is sitting here and resenting the fact that you didn't pre-make your coffee. So we got out of Dodge, we pulled over, we made the perfect choice of an exit, which is also one of those like road trip gems. You pick, sometimes you pick an exit and you're like, this looks like a good one. And then you get off and it's one gas station, the restroom's closed and it's beat down. And then it says McDonald's 3.4 miles away. Mm-hmm. And it's in like a strip mall. You're like, this is not a good idea to get back on. This was a perfect one. We took a left and then I parked at the gas station. You walked over to the McDonald's. We had a nice little 1-2 punch and we were back on the road.
Mm-hmm. Just so you know, I understand. I get that. We're starting and let's just go. Because I grew up, we had a buddy that was, he was the master of A, he was always late coming out of the house. And then B, he'd get in the car every time and say, hey, can we go hit a cash machine? Oh, God. And I used to just get
cringe, right?
Steamed at that.
I'm telling you, you're already behind.
30 minutes behind, and now he wants to go to. I can't, and I think it was a strategy because I'd be like, dude, here's 20. Pay me later.
Well played.
And then never see it.
Well played. Yeah, to me, my general rule of thumb, and we'll get into the meat of the podcast here in a minute. We'll talk about Ohio 70.3. But I generally have a formula when I drive, and that is a typical, and for those of you that drive a lot, that are on the road a lot, take road trips, that like to be efficient, my rule is if I for example, we hopped in the car and the arrival time was 1 o'clock to our Staybridge Suites on Polaris exit, Lyra Drive. The average stop, right, an efficient stop should take anywhere between 5 to 6 minutes. You put the nozzle in, you start the fill up, you go inside, you use the restroom, you come back. You should already have snacks in hand. I wouldn't have stopped until I banked 5 or 6 minutes. So my arrival time when we started the drive was 1 o'clock. I wouldn't have stopped until the new arrival time because of, efficient, somewhat, speedy driving. Got down to at least 12:54, 12:53.
Oh, you're banking time.
Yep, banking time. Then, using my formula, then I make the stop, I get back on the road, and I haven't lost any time. But that's generally my formula. But now, as we look at it right now, our arrival time is 12:59. And when we left this morning, it was 12:57. So you know what? I'm calling this road trip a win so far. Oh. I keep track of these kind of things,
guys,
man.
is that anything to do with your racing strategy in general?
is banking time?
Banking time.
I'm not against
lollygagging at aid stations for a few minutes.
Banking. It's all about
probably
banking
not a good idea.
Not a good idea, and it's the way we want to go. Speaking of racing,
more of a drive-through.
It is more of a drive-through. We don't want to. We won't go into that too much here, or general road trip etiquette. But again, a lot of you might be road tripping today. We have a huge contingent. We have 30-plus athletes heading to Ohio 70.3. We know there's a lot of races going on this weekend. You got one in Oregon, the first 70.3 in Oregon. Goes off this weekend on Sunday. You've got Lake Placid. You've got the Outlaw 70.3 and 140.6, which is a very, very big and very popular race in the UK. Racing is in full swing. It's everywhere. And we know a lot of you will be out doing something. I think we have our racing roster went out yesterday. I think we have like 60-plus all over. One of our old school favorite Olympics and sprints is the Music City Triathlon there in Nashville. that goes on this weekend. It's a busy weekend all over. So we wish all of you the best of luck. Go out, race hard, give your best, and execute properly. But we figured since we're on our way to Ohio, it's one of our favorite races, we would talk about it. And I've already received like quite a few texts this morning. Shockingly enough, Coach, should I pack my wetsuit? And the response I've given is, yeah, you should. Mine was packed begrudgingly. You're
not happy about that.
I'm not happy about it. I'm a lifelong swimmer.
I would have done the race if I'd have known.
I know you would. So Mike's doing the relay. He's doing the run portion. And I think you picked that because I don't know what the swim's going to be like. But the last I heard, for those of you that are racing, was current water temp is 70. I believe the cutoff is 76.2, which to me is pretty toasty. And looking at the weather for the next few days, like they've got lows in like the high 50s to low 60s. I could very well see this being a wetsuit legal race. It's only been wetsuit legal one other time. And that brings questions. I did tell our athletes to pack their wetsuit. I think it's a good idea to have it. I think it'll be a race day decision, a race morning decision. I would bring your skin suit. Obviously, a lot of people it won't be a decision. It'll be, if it's wetsuit legal, I'm wearing it. And I'm all for that. And again, like I told you this before we went on air here a minute ago, was that if it was an ocean swim and it was borderline, I would say, you know what, just bag it. Don't even worry about it, because you get, I'm sure most of you know this, but like when you're swimming in salt water, you get extra buoyancy. It's almost like wearing a wetsuit already because of the salt water. You add a wetsuit, then sometimes it's hard to feel like you're even in the water because you're so high in it. In a lake, in fresh water that's not moving, and we've said this before on multiple podcasts, is like the Muncie 70.3 swim and the Ohio 70.3 swim are two of the, and Florida 70.3 in Haines City, are the three slowest swims that I've ever been a part of and seen or had athletes do. I've done Muncie and Ohio. They are both my slowest swims, easily. And not for a lack of like preparation, but just they are my slowest swims. And like example, like I swam a 31 and change, or high 30 and change, I think at Texas 70.3 earlier this year, where it was very, very choppy, very, very windy, not ideal conditions. And then I think 3 years ago when I did do Ohio, I think I swam it in 31 as well, and it was obviously like perfect glass conditions. I think it's just a slow swim. I think it's the shape of the course. It's a rectangle, upside down rectangle, if you will. I think it's hard to navigate. You're swimming back into the sun. I know the last time I did this race, again 2 years ago, when I started, it's somewhat problematic when the buoys and the kayaks are the same color. Because when you started out swimming, you see a line of red and yellow and orange buoys, and you also see what looked like the Ohio armada of kayak clubs out there with a
lot of support,
red and orange kayaks, with great support. But it's going to be a tough call. I think one thing you have to think through again.
Did they not change it?
Change what?
The direction of some things?
They changed it in Muncie. They changed the direction in Muncie, but the Ohio one is still kind of the clockwise triangle. And again, if you're not doing Ohio, these are still things that you should think about with your races, because this will come up at some point. Is they have moved the start back. It's no longer a wave start, it's a rolling start. You'll start at 6:30, which means you're in the water earlier. To me, my decision on the wetsuit is never really about the water temp. It's about the ambient temperature. So it's the air temp. It's about what the temp is on race day. How humid is it? Is the sun going to be out all day? What's the high for the day? How long am I going to be out in the high of that day? If you get in the water at 6:30 and you're going to race around 5 hours, you're going to be off the course before noon, right? The hottest part of the day is usually between, 2 and 4, generally speaking. That's the hottest part of the day. But also in the early in the morning, it's the most humid. So I always think through the wetsuit thing. Obviously, another thing to think about is there's probably not going to be any wetsuit strippers. It might take you 30 seconds to take it off, but generally, that's not a lot of time. A lot of people are going to save 2 to 3 minutes in the swim, so even if you lose 30 to 45 taking off, you're still money in the bank. And then because it is a double transition race, you're going to have to put it in a bag, which, again, no big deal. Honestly, it's going to take you 5 seconds. To me, putting your wetsuit in the bag is the equivalent of choosing to set your cup in the sink instead of putting it in the dishwasher, which is another big pet peeve of mine. You put it straight in the dishwasher. I mean, it takes more effort to put it in the sink than
what if there's clean dishes in there?
Okay, then that's fine. That's fine. But to
just
bend to place it.
You never leave clean dishes in the dishwasher. You unload it
immediately.
Yeah,
I sometimes I
sometimes
know
it's too hot.
I know it is too hot. I know my like unloading PR too. Like I have a very efficient. I open all the cabinets.
You look like
the drawers
like a waiter coming with 6 plates.
Yeah, exactly. I open all the drawers and I open all the cabinets before we even open the dishwasher.
Everything you do is just so efficient.
It's about efficiency. And another like trick of the trade. You guys know that there's like a heat dry, which we also know is like one of the biggest frauds in all of life, is that there is no such thing as the perfect heat dry. Like no one can tell me, and if you post on the Cliffs page, I'm going to call you a liar. No one has the perfect dishwasher that when they open it up, it's steamed and it's perfectly dry with no drops. Like the trick of the trade is as soon as you see that the heat cycle is done and the dishwasher's open, you crack it. You crack it, you open up, you roll out the racks, you give it a little shake to get the excess residue off, and you let the now colder air dry off the rest of the stuff, and there you go. Now it's also dry.
I was going to say,
What were you going to say about the wetsuit? The wetsuit issue before we talked about dishwashers?
Dishwasher window where you can just open it up and have a fan blow through there.
No, we'll work on that.
That's
C26 Home Goods.
What was I saying about the wetsuits?
I said something about how long it's going to take you off to put it in your bag, which again to me is not a huge issue. It's going to save you time. And so, but you had said again before we went on air was for a lot of people, it's not just as much about gaining time as it is.
It's about
saving energy.
Saving energy, and that's why. But I think there's a I don't know. Doing these wetsuit swims, if you're going to be able to have higher buoyancy, and it should be easier in theory, but if you can you regulate your effort to match how much easier it is so you don't get hotter inside the wetsuit, so it's like this thing, where you should be able to save energy and go about the same speed as you normally would without it, because it is I always go back to my Chattanooga race when it was wetsuit optional, and I started because I forgot my timing chip at the hotel, and I had to.
Yeah,
I know. I'm on the bus riding over to the start, and I'm like, oh shit, I forgot my timing chip, and the lady next to me, thank God, said, so did I. But they have them at the front.
They do have them at the start.
So they have them at the start. So I had to walk all the way down there and all the way back. But anyway, so I started kind of toward the back of the line, but I remember about 500 yards into the swim, I just started getting rolled over by the wetsuit brigade. And that was the other thing, it was never more apparent to me that wetsuits are armor, So I just think that there's sort of a comfort feel in the sense like if it is going to be a crowded situation, if you're going to be getting blasted in the back, it's kind of nice to have a little padding on, but so.
For a lot of people, it's not just about the comfort or the armor. It's about the placebo effect as well. Like I've seen this with athletes before. Like they assume listen, because it is factual, right? Like the wetsuit is going to help you a lot more. The slower you are of a swimmer, the more the wetsuit helps you. Which again is like why I was like really kind of jiving for this race. I like seeing non-wetsuit swims. I think, it's a great thing for the sport. But then again, like wetsuits, I also think make people feel comfortable. And so no matter what, they're going to have a better swim. It's kind of one of those things. So I think if you're thinking about it, if you're borderline, then take it. Like I got to say, like I thought for a minute there we were going to see that we're seeing like a UFO from like 10 minutes away, but apparently it's like a blimp.
Is there a UT game?
Yeah, maybe against a high school that we can actually win. It's actually the shape of a shark, I believe.
Shark Week.
But it is Shark Week. It is. Well, that was last week, so they're late. But no, so if you're thinking about it, I would wear it. Again, it's more of a comfort, placebo, confidence thing. It immediately makes people think, like, especially if you're kind of on the end where you panic or you feel like you might not make it out of the swim. Then you wear it. I mean, it's a no-brainer. But again, I think it's a race morning decision for most of you, but I would definitely pack it. The swim course to me it's not technical. you just have to sight and pay attention, because they're the only really kind of like straightforward, like, simplistic line you take is the across. Like you go out at an angle to the left. Like, again, it's an upside down triangle, and then the way back it's the same. It's not that easy. It's straight lines obviously, but they're not. It just makes it hard. It's a slow body of water in general. So just take that into account. I think transitions there. This transition is fairly short compared to a lot of transitions right now, where it's like, Chattanooga has a very, very long run. I know St. George has a very, very long run. It's also one of those races where it's a split transition. So you'll drop your run stuff off the day before at the stadium. We'll talk about that in a minute. And then you drop your bike and your bike stuff off at a totally different location. I love that. I think it minimizes the amount of things you have to do the morning of, which I'm all about. The less things you have to carry, the better. Less things you have to set up, the better. But it is a double transition area. So you'll come out of the swim. You'll have this like huge parking lot where transition will be. You'll head out through the park itself, which, as a general and friendly reminder, and we have noted this on every Ohio 70.3 preview, go the speed limit. Inside the park, go the speed limit, because there is always a park guy trying to give like as many people as possible tickets. Like he's famous. I think his name is Dave.
Before we leave the swim, did they have a practice swim, right?
Yes, you can go swim whenever you want
before the race,
which is to me spectacular.
Which is nice, because that's the thing about, right. We always talk about don't put your wetsuit on too early because you get too hot. But if you get that's the kind of like the rub for me, is that if you haven't been used to wearing it stuff, it's like I'd go the day before and practice in it for sure.
100%. Go out there Friday,
secondly,
Saturday.
If you put it on, don't stand around for 30 minutes. At least get in the water.
You nailed it.
And you don't even have to swim a whole lot, but just sit in the water and just be cool in it. And it also kind of, give you that lube.
It'll stay cool. And you won't have that like shock of getting in the water, although 70 isn't cold. It's still going to be different than what your body temp is. But like you said, if you're going to get in your wetsuit and you're going to get in the water quick, you just sit there. You just get you a nice little float on, bring you a little inflatable, bring you a koozie, do whatever you want to, but just relax, be in the water as long as you can, get nice and warmed up, get the blood up to your arms, get loose, get comfortable. I think the setup's very similar to Muncie, right? They have like the same kind of like beach kind of area.
Oh yeah.
You can get in the water and do some sighting. And again, just a friendly reminder: if you're going to go out the day before when the buoys are out, if you're going to get out there race morning, don't practice where the swim start is. Practice where the swim exit is. Focus on sighting the way back in. Don't worry about sighting on the way back out. I always find it a little more advantageous to make sure your landmarks are a little more obvious on the way back in versus where you're going out.
Well, not only that, you can do that on the shore.
Exactly, right?
Like just stand there and look at where you need to go versus,
having to swim. Exactly. Excellent point.
Thank you.
You come out of the park. This is, to me, one of the fastest bike courses they have here in the U.S. It is flat. It can be windy. You will get a tailwind on the out portion. Sometimes you get a tailwind on the back portion. There are very, very few turns from what I saw. I know they just updated the course map a few weeks ago. I believe it's the old course, like the original course. 3 years ago, it was slightly different. You actually had to pull into a church parking lot to slow down some, to kind of re-navigate where you were going. I believe all that stuff has been resolved, so it's back to the old low course, which means a few more turns, but still, generally, like, this is a fast course. I think, like, looking at the course map, the first 40 miles are quick. They're very quick, and I think one thing that people underestimate is, again, if you're looking at you were kind of joking about banking time. This is one of those races where you're inevitably, no matter what you're doing, no matter how well you're pacing, you are going to lose time, quote unquote, the last 10 to 15 miles. There are more turns, and then really the only hills. I remember the first time I ever did this race, I was blazing through like 40, 45 miles. I was like, man, this is going to be like my best bike split I've ever had. And then like the last, 5 to 10 miles, you've got 5 or 6 turns, which is like 5 or 6 more turns than you did the first 40 miles with tailwinds and straightaways. Plus, there's like a couple good pinchers where I actually sat up and I was like, wait, what is this? I thought this was flat and fast. I didn't sign up for a hill here today.
It sounds really like Muncie.
It very, very similar. You do the loops, you come back off the stick, you come back into town. You're like, whoa, wait a minute. And you just slowly watch if you keep track of like your average miles per hour, you slowly watch your average miles per hour just go down, which just be aware it's going to happen. So I'm not advocating for banking time or banking a higher miles per hour average. I'm just saying.
That's what I hear you saying.
That's what I'm just saying. That's just what I'm telling you to be aware of. Don't want to hit your psyche. Just be prepared for it. It's one of my favorite bike courses. You can see like as far as you can.
Really?
I like it. I think it kind of reminds me of Madison, not with the rolling terrain, but the agricultural the agricultural scenery with cows and corn and everything in between. So outside of that, it's nothing like the Madison course. It's just flat, but long straightaways. It's great to pick up speed and hold your line. It's a really, really a good course. Yes, is it the most scenic? No, but honestly, if you're looking for a scenic course, don't pick one that's flat and fast, because the last thing you want to do is be sitting up and enjoying the scenery. What you want to do is have your head down, making sure you're putting out the right power, make sure you're putting out the right heart rate, and just getting to work. You don't want to be sitting up, soaking in the scenery with your eyes. You want to be head down, pedals down, getting to where you want to go as quickly as possible.
Mm-hmm. So did we describe T1 well enough, you think? I mean, is it you go out there? What do you go out there Saturday and drop your runs or bike stuff? I'm sorry.
Yep, you go out there and drop off your bike. You don't have to drop off your bike stuff because that's where you're going to start on Sunday morning. You just drop off your bike. At least that's what I would do. I wouldn't drop anything else. I would find your rack, drop your bike off. I always, when you go and check your bike in, I always like to do a quick walkthrough. Go to the swim start. Walk the route to your bike, find a landmark, find a light post, find, how many racks it is till you get to yours at 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Is it a left turn? Is it a right turn? When I race, I take like a bright colored towel and lay down underneath my stuff just to kind of like make it easier to spot where I am. But it's a very, very simple, pretty straightforward transition. But yeah, so you'll check your bike in there the night before. When you wake up, you'll head to the race morning. Again, I'd be there early. You can take shuttles from the start. And if you're coming in to spectate on race morning, then be prepared to get there early and then be prepared to walk and not leave until the last swimmer has exited the water and is out on their bike and they begin to let people out. But again, I think it's a pretty straightforward transition. You'll be a little bit slow coming out of the park. It's got a couple turns. That's a good time to get in an extra gel or some extra fuel before you get down the arrow and start hammering it away.
Yeah, which is a great idea. Frankly,
always good to top it off. That's one thing.
I mean, that's a good way to help slow you down too out of the get-go. Yep. Because some people come out of there flying or
come out of there. You got the guy
they take a
like
turn and they're off into
up.
the wood. They they go off the road.
That's right.
Because they're putting a gel in, going 25 miles an hour.
Yeah,
taking a turn.
And still haven't gotten their shoes in their feet in their shoes yet.
Riding
and they're just
through
like
the gravel
around.
Yeah, exactly.
Like, sorry, on your left, and then they got a bottle hanging out of their mouth. But yeah, so take your time, get a little bit extra fueling in. Again, the bike course is fairly straightforward. You don't know where the tailwind headwind's going to be. In the past, I know when I did it in the past, the tailwind was with us on the way out. I know a few years ago it was a headwind, and then it was a tailwind on the way back towards town. The very, very neat city of Delaware. If you're going to go and you're going to go do check-in on Friday and Saturday, make sure you hit up Main Street. Wish I could remember the nice little little joint we stopped at and had a
outside cafe.
Yeah, outside cafe. So go spend your money locally. Spend it. Make sure they come back. It's kind of a neat little city. And make sure you say hi to Ken Hammond and thank him for the awesomeness
give him a little $20 handshake
That's
while you're at it.
Give him a $20 handy.
Thanks a lot, Ken.
Yeah, thanks a lot, Ken.
Appreciate you. Man.
as far as the bike course goes, listen, like I said, it's pretty straightforward. The last mile, however, last mile and a half, it seems like it's longer than a mile, is actually on kind of like a river walk, like a bike path, a runner's path, to kind of get you up and over. Then you go over, like, honestly, like a little bridge, like a little tunnel way, skipping over one of the main roads intersections. So you'll have to slow down again. That part reminds me also of Madison, because you take that little, what's like a 2-mile stretch on the bike path, like to get back over, which again is a part you're gonna have to slow down.
No passing zone there, maybe?
I don't know that it's a no passing zone. I'm sure they might have it, because I doubt it's wide enough. And please be aware, this is like, I don't really say much. You were there with me. I think you ended up walking away. I think I had embarrassed you when we went and spectated 2 years ago. When they come out of if you're there to spectate, when the cyclists, and sometimes it's on their own because they're going too fast, when they come out of this to take a right, there are so many people out there cheering that a lot of times they're just straight up in the way.
Oh, yeah.
And there were multiple instances where, so if you have family and friends that are trying to congregate, don't put them at that corner. It's a hot corner, okay? People come flying out of that corner to take a right. They are moving quickly. A lot of them probably going too fast. A lot of them, struggle with making turns. They got carbon brake pads and aren't going to brake very well. We almost saw multiple accidents. And then another pet peeve of mine, listen, no one loves dogs as much as I do. If you're going to have your dog there, put them on a leash. We saw almost like multiple accidents that day. So just be aware. And also, if you're an athlete and you're making that corner, be prepared for a lot of people to be there. And to just be aware of that corner. So again, it's another area you got to slow down. You'll come back in. You'll get off your bike into T2, which again you'll have dropped your run stuff off the day before. Listen, there's not an easier T2 to know where you're at than Ohio 70.3. Because all you got to say is you got to look what yard line you're on. That is it. It is super simple. It is on the football field. What's Ohio Wesleyan? Is that the university that's right there?
Yeah, it is. Ohio Wesleyan.
It's a very, very cool spot for a transition area. You go up and you set up your bike literally on the football field. So if you're on the 30, you're on the 30. You know what hash mark are you on? You got to go left. You got to go right. It's a very, very easy spot to make sure that you know where you are. Again, something you should do on race day or on the day before when you drop your run stuff off is to do that kind of walk through where you're coming in, where you would normally come in with your bike, and then make sure you kind of just walk that route, cement it in your mind, take a picture if you need to review the night before, but just to get a nice little general idea of where you're going to grab your run stuff and where you're going to rack your bike the next day.
All right, so Saturday you leave your run stuff?
Saturday.
Do you leave your bike stuff with the bike, or
you don't have to? You can just drop your bike off. I'm not sure if you can. I'm sure you can.
So Saturday you just drop off your bike, and then you drop off your run stuff, and then you
shoes,
Sunday
gear,
morning you
all
bring
of
your
it.
swim and bike stuff
Correct.
to the race.
Yep.
Okay.
Everybody
says it's not confusing, but I think it's a little bit for me.
I like it. I think the most daunting part is the day before, which I'm all about getting all the daunting stuff out the day before. Anytime you're going to do a race like that, I think listen, I did it 3 years ago. We both spectated it 2 years ago.
Yeah.
I think double transitions, while they seem stressful, are a lot less stressful than you think.
I just know the morning of the race I'd have like one run shoe in my swim bike bag. You know what I mean? Like something would happen.
Well, that's all on you.
It is on me because I'm not prepared, but I am prepared.
You're
unprepared.
prepared.
I'm just saying.
Double check your
I can
things.
see a bike glove in the run bag.
You've got access to it the morning of. But if you're not planning on taking the extra trip and making the extra time to go to T2, then why do it? Listen, if you're a person who's going to go park and take one of the shuttles from transition to the swim start, then you got nothing to worry about because you can have access to your spot the morning of, and you're just going to go drop your stuff off. You want to drop off a bottle next to your run shoes. Make sure you got everything. You got your visor, you got your glasses, got your your bib. Just put it all there. And then the race morning, drop your bottle in and be ready to go. You're already done. So
right.
Then you got to carry your stuff on the bus, and you got to talk to people you don't want to talk to. So there's a lot of things to think through.
Now, what if I'm like not the best swimmer? I'm not too comfortable and confident about. Where are you going to start me out? Where should I start?
Where you're supposed to be, in the back.
In the back, okay.
Listen, like that's a safety thing. It's not about I guess there's two ways to look at it. A lot of people think, well, I need the most time on course, right? So you're going to get in the water at 6:30. Let's say if you're a 50-minute swimmer, don't be one of the first ones in the water. Even though you're like, I want to be on course the fastest, I'll be out there. To me, you should always want to be on the offensive on race day. No matter how slow you think you're going to be, while traditional thinking might say, listen, I want to have as much time on course as I possibly can. I don't want it to be so hot. I'm going to get in the water as quickly as I can. Well, the thing about that is, again, going back to the overall safety of the athlete, is if you're a much slower swimmer, the chances are you're probably, you're more than likely a middle of the pack, maybe back of the pack cyclist. To me, that puts you into two categories I don't want to be in on race day. I don't want to be in the water when I have athletes that are going to be swimming over me. Okay?
Right.
Not something you're going to be comfortable with. If you're already you don't want to be navigating, the 30 to 50-year-old dude crowd or the 25 to 35-year-old female crowd that aren't going to be really worried about giving you space or your boundaries or your safe spot. All they're going to care about is how can I get from point A to point B the fastest, and they're going to swim over you.
Yep.
Is that going to make you more comfortable? No. Is it going to make you have a faster swim? No. It's going to make you panic. It's going to make you feel slow with that many people passing you. Now you hop on the bike. What are you going to have? People passing you, right? You're putting the onus on them to steer clear of you versus the onus on you to steer clear of them. Again, when I'm swimming, I want to be the one. I don't want to be passing people. I want to be the one who's passing people because I want to be able to pick my line. I don't want to be swam over. Same thing goes on the bike. I want to pass people. I don't want to be passed because then what you're doing is, like especially on a road trip right now when I'm driving, I'm not worried about me. I'm worried about them. Right? You have to kind of be hyper vigilant. I don't want to have to worry about people passing me because then you got to think how much room they give me. What if they swerve in? What if they don't stay on your left and you're about to take a pass? Like you're putting a lot of faith in your fellow athletes to navigate and use their words and do things correctly, which I think, and again, just the general psyche of getting past for the first two legs, I don't think is very good for your psyche. So I would say place yourself accordingly, seed yourself accordingly. Plus, it makes for a faster bike for you to be the one that's passing people because you can use that kind of free bunny hop draft zone where you're drafting legally, giving yourself the appropriate amount of time to pass people. That's what I would do. For the swim, again, it's a safety thing. That's why they give yourself a rolling start. Take your time, do what you need to do, place yourself in the middle to back, you're going to get the same amount of time, and just make it to where your environment, your space is most likely to put you on the offensive, not the defensive, where you're having to worry about other athletes maybe affecting your race day negatively.
Okay, thank you. So, the bike course very aero, right? Correct.
Excuse me?
The bike course very aero friendly.
Very aero friendly.
Yeah, well, it's a good thing I'm not racing because
you're not a huge aero fan.
No, I'm here, but I took my bike to get my aero bars adjusted yesterday.
You've been waiting for an end for this for like the last.
I was looking for it.
I saw you're reaching hard on this one.
I don't know if I should go on. I don't want to be negative, but man, what's wrong with service in this world?
You had a bad service experience. You had a bad service experience yesterday.
You have to admit that's bogus.
Well, I mean, to be fair,
we bought 3 bikes there this year, and I walk in, and the guy said he doesn't have time for me.
And I salted your wound a little bit with my comment before you went.
Yeah, what'd you say again?
Well, you said, hey, how's they backed up pretty well over there at the Trek store, because that's the place I go. And they generally treat me very, very, very well.
Yeah.
And I was like, dude, I dropped my bike off on Monday at 10 o'clock to get a nice little service, a nice little tune-up.
Yeah.
And they called me 2 hours later, and it was done. And I was like, dude, take it over there. They'll take care of you in like 3 seconds. So,
yeah,
of course.
You did say that.
So I said that. So I way over-promised for someone else, and then they ultimately incredibly under-delivered. They did. So they told Mike they couldn't even accept his bike, that he had to they couldn't even store it.
Can I leave this? I'm going out of town. You can have it a week or so or whatever. And they said, no, you need an appointment. And then I said, well, we bought 3 bikes here. I didn't say this, but I'm thinking we spent $20,000 here this year probably, and we're local this and that. And he said, sorry, we can't keep it here. There's nowhere to keep it. There's no storage. and there's not enough room for your bike. And I looked around the store, and there's like, big old showroom. But anyway, I asked 2 different people. They both said the same thing, and I just think that's weak.
You're disappointed.
It's weak.
Yeah, this is one of those situations where usually 99% of the time, you and I go somewhere, and you get us what we need because people know you, they know your face. This is one of those times where I feel like I should have gone with you.
Yeah,
I feel like
so
I
too.
got a little more clout.
You got a little more clout. For sure you do. I mean, this is the thing. I went in there so many times, but I was always wearing a mask, over the last year. So they probably don't know who I am. But I did have a C26 shirt on.
I was. I'm the guy. I'm the Don. I'm Mike Tarrolly.
Yeah, because you're in there. I mean, we may have spent $30,000 with you going in there.
Hey, we got to put stuff in the hub and trying to make friendly relationships with local shops.
We tried to have them come over and
apparently
hang out.
Yeah, we'll go to maybe East Brainerd next time out to East. No, I'm not doing that. I'll go back.
If you know those guys, tell them come on.
Come on. Treat Mike with a little bit of respect.
Well, that's just general what's going on. The service industry is absolutely crap right now.
Well, you know what? When we close down after Podcast 1000 and we branch off into our C26 customer service consulting business, and we're gonna restaurant reviews and hospitality industry, we'll take care of that. Speaking of taking care of that, the run course.
I'll be taking care of that.
Yeah, the run course, which you'll be on. Whew. You've spectated it. You haven't ran it yet. I got
tired walking out to that that section
out to the stick.
Walking
out to the stick. Yeah,
so
it's.
I don't think I'm not a little bit nervous.
It's a sneaky run course to me. People associate. What do you mean you? What do you mean you? You talking about my run split last time I was there? What do you mean? It seems like
I was just watching people's eyes, man. Especially coming to do that second loop. Isn't there a little hill coming up there? I was down there videotaping.
It's a lollipop.
People were like, God damn, this is
it's sneaky. To make it the whole course reminds me of Muncie. Slow swim, fast bike, sneaky run. Because, way back in the day, they used to advertise the Muncie run as flat and fast. And if you've ever done Muncie, it is the opposite of flat. It is, up and down the entire time. It is rolling. It is not shaded at all. And usually you're out there in, the muggiest. There's no wind. You can't feel anything. It's just a gross place to run, to be honest with you. But, yeah, so you come out of transition. You come out the football field. You take a left. You run down the main road for about a mile. There's a pretty neat little Red Bull aid station they got going on there. And then that's when you make your part to the lollipop portion. Again, it's a stick and then 2 circles for your 2 laps. And you come back home to the finish line. You'll take a left. And the loop to me it's kind of 3 to 4 miles of straight incline, little rollers. And then you get a little bit of a decline coming back in on miles 4 to 5. It is sneaky. There's some tree cover, just not a lot. It can get crowded on the second loop, but it is one of those runs where, to me, you have to really, really focus on even pacing, because it's one of those courses where each little roller kind of takes a little chunk out of you. It kind of takes it's a body shot. It's kind of like Wisconsin's bike course. It's just body shot after body shot after body shot. Is it hilly? No, but it's rollers. I like rollers when I get to go race because I like that it changes up your cadence. I like that it gives you some quad heavy here, some hamstring. I don't generally like super flat courses because then you get the same stride, the same cadence, the same quad, shattering, stride you do. I like the change of pace. I will say, if you're doing this, the most painful miles of your race, not because of just where it is from a mile standpoint, is going to be between miles 11 and the finish, because you have this long screamer downhill. Your legs are tired. All you're going to want to do is put the brakes on with your quads, but all you're going to really need to do is just go fast and let gravity do the work. But it hurts so much to get on that straightaway. And then it's a sneaky last little loop around the football field. You see the finish. You're like, oh, I'm almost there. Yeah, it's like most finish lines. It's we're going to take you on this little out and back here, and then a little loop around the field. And you're like, I burnt my biscuit a half mile ago. This one's going to suck. It's fairly well spectated. You're going to see most spectators, again, when you come back around. So if you have family or friends or whatnot coming to spectate and cheer for you, tell them to make the walk out. It's a mile and a half, I think, to the stick.
Right.
And it's going to be hot. It's going to be very hot, I think. But tell them to go there. That way they'll see you. But the big thing is once they see you come across the loop the first time, if they want to catch you at the finish, then you start making their way back. Because if they're not going to be able to keep up with you if they see you come on the second loop, you're just going to finish. They're not going to be there. So if they want to spectate and they want to watch, go out there. Not the most spectator-friendly course, but there is generally a good crew of spectators out there. I like two-loop courses for a 70.3 because you're going to at least see some people. If you have teammates doing it, you're going to see people at least in the second loop. That kind of gets your jive going. But it's rolling. It's going to take chunks out of you. The most shaded part of it is the backside of each loop is pretty heavily shaded, so you get some reprieve there. It's also when, unfortunately, you're going downhill where you already get some reprieve. It'd be nice if it was on some of the uphills. But so that like 4 to 6 and then like 11.5 to 13 is where you get the most reprieve. But really, like to me, give yourself the juice, give yourself the energy to be able to just bury yourself and really utilize the downhill for the last 2.2 miles. Don't be so spent that you have to walk it. Save yourself, save a little bit of energy to be able to really, really, really go after it and just, again, take advantage of the downhill and then just that last mile. It seems like it goes on for a while because you're like, I feel like it was a lot closer than this when I came out because you were juiced up, you're ready to rock, your legs were flying off the bike, and then the last little home stretch is hard. And then again, once you hear the microphone and the PA system and people finishing, tell yourself, at least, even though it's kind of a lie, tell yourself, okay, I still got a mile left. It's really probably a half mile or more, but you get close and you're like, oh my God, like I got to go around the back side of the track, then I got to make a loop around the track, and then I got to finish. It is a little, so don't let that part sneak up on you.
Okay. Yeah, well, you don't go around the track. What you mean, you just come in at one end of it. And
and then you don't make a victory lap.
200 meter kind of.
Yeah, but you have to go. You basically have to go the same distance. You have to go around the outside of the fence gate. Yeah.
Yeah. So I agree. I mean, I've only been there twice. I've been there to spectate. Did a lot of walking, and I remember, that walk out to the neighborhood to watch the loop seemed a lot shorter, even on the walk. When I was walking back, I was like, Jesus, man.
It's hotter.
It's hot, and as I'm walking, I'm like, it feels hot, but it's got to be like pretty hot.
There's no shade either on that last little mile stretch.
It's true,
It's like once you pop off the stick.
It's not a very,
not a very what?
Scenic.
No,
vibe
not scenic.
There.
Not scenic. But then again,
the neighborhood's nice. It seems like.
Yeah, up and coming. But yeah,
up and coming.
It's
a great investment area if you're looking to buy a
Delaware,
house.
Ohio.
Delaware's a kind of a nice little place.
It's a nice spot. Listen, it's a nice.
It's a big secret. Good secret.
Again, if you're
a great place to live.
If you're looking for a racecation, not on your list. Right? It's like Muncie. Not on your list.
No.
Not spectator friendly.
Not housing friendly.
Not housing friendly. Not anything friendly.
Not post-race meal friendly.
It is, but it should be, and it will be.
It may be.
But in terms of the actual race itself, friendly, 100%. Which is the reason we gave it our highest ever rating of 4.5 stars 3 years ago. And I'd love to bump that up to 5 with pizza and Snickers here for this race, Ken Hammond. 5 stars. No, it is. It's not a racecation. It's not one of those where I want to bring the family. I want them to come support because they ain't going to see you, dude. They ain't going to see you. And the double transition makes it even harder.
Yeah, that's tough.
It adds a little bit of extra stress to the spectators that are already going to be stressed enough. So, come out. If you're doing it again, be prepared for, it's a good race course. Is it a good race city? Not ideal. A lot of people don't stay in and around close to Delaware because there's really not that much. We stay at what I would consider one of the best exits in the entire U.S., which is we're staying at the. I'm telling you, it is. It's got the Staybridge Suites, which is our favorite. Our Lyra Drive. You've got Cabela's next door. You've got a First Watch, a Firebirds, and a Bonefish all on the same exit. I mean, honestly, what else do you need to have a successful, happy life?
Yeah, I'm not like a big chain type guy, but I do have to say
you got to get behind those chains.
Well, those chains, but that whole exit, I mean, it's just like, it really does feel like the Mall of America or something, where everything you could ever ask for is probably like within a half mile.
Yeah, it's great.
Or, it's bizarre. Is what
It's
it is.
it's not a place I'd want to.
IKEA,
It's not a place I'd want to live, but it is a place I would like to stay with a hotel because, like you said, it's kind
Well,
of.
that's why I could see living there in like an apartment for a while.
You thinking about doing that?
No, I thought about it 2 years ago.
Yeah,
I was
that's
like,
how
man,
good
it'd
it
be kind
is.
of interesting to live here.
Yeah,
maybe
after you spent
You just
$45
walk
on a
everywhere.
coffee
You know,
mug
you'd
from
have to walk
Cabela's.
through mall parking lots is everything. But
Which is again another reason if you're
Hopefully-
staying on the Columbus Polaris exit where the Staybridge Suites is, there are a lot of other hotels there. If you're staying there, the best place to go for your pre-ride on Saturday is the mall.
the mall.
It's across the street. It's a closed loop. It's not a closed loop, but there's going to be nobody there. So if you do your pre-race ride the day before, I know a lot of people do it on race day, which is or a race more or the day before at the race site. Totally fine. Do your thing. But if it was me, I'd head on over to the mall. I'd bike on over and do my loops. There's going to be no cars. It's going to be lit
Early.
When I say it's going to be lit, it's going to be lit.
It's gonna be lit.
But
I didn't tell you
gotta
about
go
this
early.
last time, but speaking of lit, I went over there early and I got in with the mall walkers, so I was inside.
Did you?
Yeah, I did some loops around the inside of the mall.
You're kidding.
Cool,
You're kidding,
cool
right?
temperature with
There you
my
go.
Cabela,
Your coffee, your Cabela coffee mug?
Yeti coffee mug.
You're still paying that off, aren't you? I think you got a bad interest rate back then.
I can't wait to see how the Cabela's is changed.
Yeah, you'll have to
Take
go
a
there. I've
walk
never
through
actually
there.
set foot in one of those before, but I'll take your word for it.
They had a nice taxidermy scene in there when I was in there.
They do their taxidermy. That's all I got. Again, if you're going to be out in Ohio, come say hi to Mike. He'll be at the expo, I think, from 8 a.m. to 6 p.m. every day. He's going to have his own booth called Selfies with Mike. But no, come say hi if you see us around. We'll be in and around the
We'll be
expo
hanging
with all of
around
our athletes that are hanging out there, and we got about 30 plus.
I'll be at the ray gun tent.
He'll be
The ray gun.
Yeah, the ray gun. You crack me up, dude. The ray gun. So that's
what's that other thing they have up there? I remember that last man. They threw the hard sell on me. Those little vibrating nodes things.
I don't know. You talk to people way much more than I do.
But you know,
Like,
they
you
had
get
a
sucked
booth
in.
where they put
I know,
the
I
nodes
remember.
on you, and it's like you put it
Oh
in your
yeah,
neck.
dude. That guy was selling
he is
snake
hard
oil.
sell.
He was like Ben Grenfield Jr.
He's like, what does that feel like? Here, where's your credit card?
He's like, your back pocket? Hey, I've already got it in my hand. What do you think about that? He's also a
Yeah.
magician. He's like, why don't you try one of these superpower centric universe bracelets on that'll help keep you centered in
Those
life.
things were kind. You know what they are? Yeah. Well,
But they're a fraud.
Well, they're. Nah, there
Oh,
might be
stop.
something to them.
Stop.
They're kind of like an ultrasound.
I can't
thing.
right now.
I was trying those on my shoulder earlier. Not those, but like there's some name for it. They have them at Walgreens.
Yeah, like I said, if you buy it from the Walgreens,
I think I have arthritis.
if you buy it from like the first aid section at Walgreens, we need to have a conversation. We hope you've enjoyed this conversation on the road on I-75. We're 50 miles out of the Georgetown, Cincinnati area, which I've heard is an absolute cluster. Can't wait to sit in traffic for forever. Get your life together, people up there. Take care of that bridge.
There's a bridge problem?
Yeah, I think there's a bridge problem.
Oh,
Logan
yeah.
Sally, who is our C26 bridge inspector, I believe he's had that job before. Get on that, dude. Take care of business for us.
Oh, is he really?
Yeah, he's a bridge inspector. But go out, take care of that. Again, if you're racing anywhere and everywhere this weekend, have an awesome time. Enjoy yourself. We hope you have enjoyed our Roadcast number 3. Again, this is podcast 497. If you have any questions, comments, concerns about anything that we've done or want to get in touch with us in general, you can reach out to Mike. He is at crushingiron@gmail.com. If you want to get in touch with me, I'm at C26coach@gmail.com. If you want more information on the camps, community, and coaching we provide, you can always go to our website, C26triathlon.com. And if you're feeling like you need a little more spice in your life, follow us on Instagram, C26_triathlon.
Hey, do we have any bank time right now?
No, we're hovering. We've lost a minute since I've been on this podcast because I've been going the speed limit in cruise control.
Oh, have we really?
Yeah.
We've lost a minute.
Oh, but there we go. Now we're back on. We're back even.
Okay, we need to get some bank time.
I'm trying to
Getting
bank time.
hungry
No
again.
more stuff. Oh my God. All right. That's all we got today. We'll catch you. We'll catch you next Tuesday because we'll be on the road on Monday. We'll see you then. Have a good weekend. And,
Wait, how far are we from Cincinnati?
Oh my God, dude, we're 200. I don't know how far from Cincinnati. We got 250 miles left.
Oh, to go on
Yeah.
this trip? Okay.
Yeah.
Well, that's plenty of time to keep talking.
Yeah. Well, you can do a solo cast if you want to. I got to get back to my 10 and 2.
Okay, you're going to focus.
Yeah, I'm gonna focus and dial it in.
All right. Well, I mean, this is what happens when you got nowhere else to go.
You're trapped.
Kind of going.
This is why we. This is what talking about. We don't go places. Like you don't want to put yourself in a situation.
And take a nap. I got to sit here. I might as well just keep talking on a podcast.
Yeah. Well,
and go for the all-time record.
How fun recording.
It's just going to be me from here on out. So I appreciate you guys listening. And this has been the Crushing Iron Podcast.